Hello students, now that you have completed your philosophy of education essay, you should be ready to create or add to your portfolio. And so that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So down here, let's scroll through and find our description again so we know exactly what's expected of us. It's going to be under tasks in our syllabus here. It says website created. We should have already done that. You've already gotten points for that if you submitted the link originally that you created. After that, we scroll down here. We have website portfolio presentation. And so these are sort of combined in your grading. The way it will be set up is, I believe it's about 80-20. So you're going to have to follow these requirements, add all the things that you need into your portfolio, including your philosophy, and then later on you'll present it. We'll talk about the presentation in the next couple weeks. Let's read through this. The Liberal Studies Department requires all majors to develop a website portfolio as a culminating project in the senior capstone course, LBS 400. Each portfolio should include representations of subject matter competency, field experiences, personal growth, individual skills, significant learning experiences, and personal goals as they relate to specific areas in elementary education. Each portfolio should be professional in appearance and content. Students will present their portfolios at the end of the semester to their classmates and instructor. More detailed information about requirements and grading will be provided by the instructor in class. So we will talk about this again next week as we go into adding our math section. But we have two things we need to add tonight or whenever you're working on this week. That would be your philosophy as well as your English Language Arts page completed. So let's go down to the bottom of our syllabus and take a look at the rubric. Right here it says Rubric for Website Portfolio, LBS 400. Again, we're only going to look at exemplary. So over here in the first category it says introductory statement or photo, video, and quote. You don't necessarily have to have a quote, but you do have to have some kind of introductory, maybe a statement or a little, I prefer to see a little biography about yourself and maybe an explanation for why you want to be a teacher. You could also do that in video format if you like to do something like this and just record yourself talking about it. That would be fine. Some people make prezzies or Powtoons or all kinds of fun things that you can use in place of writing it up, but you can be creative, and as long as you have some kind of introductory statement or something in there that communicates your professional goals, impact of college education, sense of personal identity in a compelling manner. The next section is your language arts. This has to be there, and it has to have examples of breadth and depth of subject matter, and it creates meaningful connections between the artifacts, the frameworks, which you've looked at in class. Remember the language arts framework? We read a lot about that in your first module as well as in class. And so you're going to connect that to what you've been learning to show how you are prepared to teach that subject area. Okay, so you want to think about how does my work show that I can teach K-5 students in language arts. Then you want to include those artifacts that you selected and reflect on your preparation. Your reflection, we'll talk about this a little bit more in a minute, but your reflection needs to explain what your artifacts are and how those are showing your mastery of that subject. Same thing happens for math, okay? And then you get to choose 2 more areas. You can go beyond 2, but you need to have at least 4 subject areas. I suggest you pick 2 others. One of those should be your option because you've taken a lot of classes in that area. And then I suggest you add liberal studies as well to that as maybe a 5th page if you choose. I think that would be a nice touch. Down here follows number of artifacts. Notice that you have to have 8. So if you count that up, your philosophy counts as 1. So that means you need 7 more. And you have to have language arts, math, and 2 others. So if you have at least 8, even you put 2 for each, you'll be well above what you need. The design says design is exemplary, enhancing the content. We're going to talk a lot about that in this video, how to make it look nice and organize it. Right here, your writing conventions. In the first video, I showed you the writing website. But I also encourage you, when you go after this and you're completed, your job will be to give feedback to 2 other people, and you will be getting points for that. So I suggest that you start looking for writing revisions that need to be made, or helping out your classmates with conventions and grammar, because sometimes we don't catch those in our own writing. Your oral presentation, we're not going to worry about that right now because that comes later, okay? All right, so let's jump over here to Weebly, and we're going to get into how do we actually do this. Now, I've already gone over this in class a couple times, and each of you have created your Weebly or something similar, but we're going to go in and actually start making some changes. So I made another one because the other one that I gave as an example website had a lot of different subject areas, and we don't require that anymore. So I made a new one, and so you'll see that I've added some pictures and things, and this is just an example website, okay? So remember that this is providing you with kind of a template of what you need to have, but it doesn't need to look like mine necessarily. It can look like your own style and your own things, okay? So let me back up again. When we get to Weebly and you log in, you're going to be at this dashboard. If I click right here, it's going to take me to the outside of my website. This is what the world sees, okay? I can't change anything here. But if I go back to Weebly and I go to the dashboard again, I can click on Edit Site right here, and that takes me to the back end of my website portfolio, and that is where I can make the changes. I am the only one that's able to do that because I'm the only one with the password to get into the back end of my portfolio. The trick is, whenever I make a change, I must always hit this Rate Publish button right here. In fact, I'm going to move this window over here so that you can see what I'm always going to do over here with the Publish button. Okay, so I have added some pictures, some nice pictures of a classroom. I would say you want to put your name up here, and you need to have all the pages created first. So let's go to Pages and let's talk about that. It's going to automatically make you a home page, which is great. I would just leave that alone. You definitely need a language arts page, you need a math page, and then you pick two other subjects. So I put in it as an example, PE and Spanish. You can put any two subjects that you like, okay? I added liberal studies. I suggest you do that too. If you want to add one, all you do is click this plus button. And then I always just pick standard because it's the easiest thing to do. You can always change things later. But I would say click Add New Standard Page. So let's say I wanted to add art. I would do that. And then I would say Done. And it's going to add an art page. Okay, and you can see it's already up here in my little menu. And then I made a change, so I want to hit Publish every time. Whenever I do something like this, it's going to pop up. I just close it. That's fine. Sometimes something will pop up where they ask me to sign up or upgrade, and I don't need to do that either. I can just close it. Okay? So let's go back to my home page, and let's look at what should be on here. Like the rubric said, you need some kind of introduction to yourself. So I suggest you put a picture of yourself. Obviously, that's not me. I just found some kind of college picture. But put a picture of yourself on here. And some kind of title that says maybe about me, or put your name, or journey to teaching. You can take a lot from your paper into a free if you like. That first one you wrote. It's up to you, but I would say put a couple paragraphs about yourself. Maybe discuss where you went to school. Remember, this isn't just me looking at this. Eventually you want to use this professionally, and hopefully some administrator will get to learn some things about you. So talk about where you went to school, what you studied, what you're working on, where do you want to teach, what do you want to teach, what are your goals, how did you get to this point where you want to be a teacher. Things like that would be great to add here. I went ahead and also put a section for my philosophy. Now you could choose to put this on your liberal studies page, or you can put it on your home page. It doesn't matter. That's up to you. It's just a preference. I did pick a little quote from Socrates. You guys know I love him, but you can put another quote here if you want to. You don't have to. You can add that anywhere on your page. You can add fun little things to just kind of demonstrate who you are as a teacher. So you'll see that I have my examples, and it says include a copy of your philosophy of education essay. Check the rubric. You've already watched the video and looked at the rubric and written that, presumably. So you can just copy and paste it in here. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. I come over here to the left and I see text. When I drag it and drop it where I want it, it gives me a box. All I got to do is type in that box. Here is my philosophy. Okay, now let's say I already wrote my paper and it's on a Word document. Well, all you have to do is copy and paste in here, and that will come up just fine. And so you don't need to worry about that. You don't have to retype it. You can just paste it and it'll look nice. When you come up here, let's say I made a mistake and I don't really like the way this looks, or I don't want that box there. All I have to do is hover over this box, and when I see the little red X, I can click delete and I can remove it. Okay? So we're going to be talking about how to make some changes and what needs to go on your Weebly portfolio. When you get to language arts, and this is the one that has to be done this week, so I would focus on this first if I were you. You want to have the title very clear, English language arts. Some people add the title literacy. You could do that. Some people say English language arts and reading, depending on what the elementary school you've been hanging out at calls it. Most people at most schools just call it English language arts. That's up to you. So I'm just going to leave it at that, but you can add whatever title you want to make it clear. I like to add a picture to each page on my site to represent that subject. So I picked a nice little book here, and I'll show you how to do that. So we'll pretend I never did that, and I'll get rid of it. Okay, so now I'm making my English language arts page, and I want to add a picture. I come over here to the left in this whole menu of choices, and I see image. I'm going to drag that over, and if I see that blue line, that's going to determine where it goes. You see right under the titles means that the picture is going to be right under the title, a little bit further down. If I do it like this, it's going to hang out over here in this corner. If I do it like this, you can see right here, there's a little blue line right here. It's going to put it next to my title. I want it underneath, so I'm going to drop it there, and it's going to put this blank box. When I click on it, it's going to give me an option. Now, I can choose to search, and I can search for something like reading, let's say, and I can search. It's going to automatically take me to these professional ones. I don't want that. They're often not that good. I can click on free photos, and again, these are often also not great, but if you like some of them, you can take it. So there's some nice book pictures. I could take one of those. Or I can click on my computer, and if I've already saved the pictures I'm going to use ahead of time, then I can upload them. So let's say I already had one picked out, and it's already been saved. I should have it on here somewhere. Let's see, maybe not. Maybe I didn't. Maybe that was on another computer. So let's pretend I had it, and I would just click on it like anything else, and it would upload, okay? I don't have it on this computer, so I'm not going to do that. But I'll just pick one of these ones. Let's say I picked the book. All right. So if I like this picture, that's great. I can make it smaller. I can make it bigger by grabbing this corner. I suggest that whenever you're picking a picture, you go on your own and you start searching. You just Google pictures, okay? So if you just go to Google and you click on images and you put something like reading, you're going to have a lot more choices, okay? So let's say I prefer one of these instead of the free ones that they gave me. Maybe I like this one with all these little kids reading. I kind of like that. So when I'm on a Mac, I can drag my pictures to different places and drop them. If I'm on a PC, I can right click and I can save as, okay? So once I get that figured out, I got it saved somewhere. Let's say I don't want this one. I can edit it if I want to fix it, but I don't want it at all, so I'm going to replace it. Okay, so I upload from my computer, and I dragged it to my desktop, so I should be able to click on my desktop and find the picture. There it is, and I'm going to open it, and there it is. Now I've got this great picture of little kids reading books, and I like that. Okay, so in addition to your title, some nice pictures for style, I want my artifacts and a reflection. Okay, so I suggest you find some way to put it in an order that is going to be consistent on each page, meaning if I went to my math page, it's going to have the same thing, right? It's going to have a title, some kind of picture, reflection, and artifact. It doesn't have to look like this or go in this order, but I would say being consistent is kind of nice because it helps someone looking at your page to be able to find things. So I need to have a reflection. And you'll notice I didn't write my own, but I have some description here of what it should be for you. It says write a 1 to 3 paragraph reflection that describes your experience with this subject Explain what you selected as your artifacts. This is not a place for you to express how you liked or did not like courses or whether or not you enjoyed the subject overall. That means don't use this as a place to write about how you hate English or one class you took was really tough and you didn't do well in it. This isn't an evaluation of your courses or your instructors or what subject you like best. You are proving that you are professionally qualified to teach it. So keep it professional, keep it focused on your accomplishments and what you've learned throughout your subject area and different courses. So I would just write maybe one paragraph about the types of courses you've taken and how you've grown as a student in this subject, and then maybe another paragraph that explains what your artifacts are, and that would be fine, okay? So keep it focused on how you're prepared to teach this. Now, once I have an artifact, you'll notice that I just used this example document that says include artifacts for each subject, such as assignments, essays, presentations, projects, pictures of work, videos of performances, etc. So if this is language arts, I might have an essay that I upload here. And you might have a couple different things. You might even have a PowerPoint that you made for a class. You can upload that. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Again, I made a change. So of course, remember what I'm going to do over here. I'm going to click on publish. Okay. Okay. So I've got it published. Now I have everything I want, but I want to add an artifact. So I can come over here to the left again to my little menu. And there's a couple things you can do. You can copy and paste the way we did with our philosophy, but because this is an artifact, I prefer it to kind of look more like the original. You don't have to have a graded one with a mark on it or, you know, a star or check marks or anything like that. But you do kind of want it to look like the original assignment just to show people what you've done. So over here on the left, you have all these choices for how to add things into your Weebly. What I suggest is, depending on what it is, you decide whether it's an image. Did I take a picture of this thing? If that's the case, then great, you can upload the image. Make sure it's saved to your computer first, but you can do that. If it's a document, which most things probably are, then I want to come over here and I have two choices. Depending on the size of the file, I'm probably going to pick between this one that says scribd document, or file. File would be a large file that I think maybe won't show up correctly, like if it's a big long PowerPoint or something like that. But I prefer this document one because then it makes a little window for it and people can see it right here and it's already opened. This one is going to require them to download it if I pick the file one. So I'm going to pick this one and I'm going to drag it and I'm going to drop it where I want it. And when I do that, okay, now you can see all I got to do is click on it and it's going to allow me to upload. And I upload from my computer and I just go find out what I want. So let's say this was my assignment. I would drop it in there and it'll say this at first, don't worry. Just give it a minute to convert it. And once it converts it, then I will have my artifact right there visible for everybody. And I can also move it around and make some changes. Sometimes it'll get stuck like this. When it does that, I usually click publish and that kind of fixes it and rushes it along. Sometimes it doesn't. It's just kind of finicky, but you know what? It's a free option. So I can give it another minute. I can also refresh. Sometimes that does it. Got to be patient. I'm not very patient, I guess. Okay, so I've got my two artifacts. This was the one I had. This was the one I added. And then I realized, oh, this is not the artifact I wanted. I made a mistake. So now I got to get rid of it. What am I going to do? I can hover over it and click this little red X, and then I can delete it. Okay, now let's say I do want it, but I don't want it right there. It's too big. I want it to be smaller. I can put these next to each other if I want, and they'll be smaller. I can also, I can add like spacers in here if I wanted to. If I feel like these are a little too close to each other, it's going to get confusing. I can spread them apart. That makes it a little too small. I can move them together. All you do is drag and move things around. Okay, so let's say I do want to get rid of this, okay? This is not the one I want. I'm going to get rid of it. It's going to delete it. Now I've got the spacer, I don't want that. Again, hover over it, delete it. You get the idea how easy this is, okay? So I'm not gonna mess with this anymore. I'm gonna show you the next thing. This is what we're gonna work on next week, is math. So it will have the exact same stuff. We're gonna have a reflection, we're gonna have artifacts, and you wanna have a clear heading. And then you pick 2 other subjects. You can see I haven't done anything in these, they're still blank. So what you need to do by the end of this week is you need to go and make your Weebly. Make sure your homepage looks nice. It's got a picture of you. It's got some things about you. You're going to put your philosophy somewhere on your website, whether it's on your homepage or if you make a liberal studies page, I could put it over here if I wanted to. And you need to have a language arts page that is done with a heading, make it design-wise look nice, add some pictures maybe, a reflection, and at least 1 artifact, okay? All right, so again, once I'm done, I'm gonna publish. Then I'm done. I can go back and I can look at my changes and see how it looks to the rest of the world by clicking right here. And it takes me back to all my work, okay? So that is the end of this video. Please go and take your URL from right here. If you click on the outside part of your website that the world can see, and copy and paste this into the discussion board for your peers to look at. Pick 2 classmates and review their website, give them some feedback. If you see some mistakes or something's hard to read or anything like that, that's good feedback to help people out. And then you're also going to turn this same link into the Dropbox. Thank you. Please contact me if you have any questions. Have a good night.